This is so funny, and I heard this story from mom at least 20 times. Never gets old. For context, we are a Muslim family, quite the conservative one, and coming from a very conservative village. Modesty is very strictly practiced by us, and clear boundary is put between men and women. Flirting is heavily frowned upon. This took place in Saudi Arabia, which was also a super strictly conservative country at that time. To the story, mom and dad had my sister, me and my younger brother, 5, 3, and 2 respectively at that time. My mom was also heavily pregnant plus had a tumor in her left leg. We all were at a mall shopping. Mom, due to her tumor and pregnancy, was walking like a seal, her own description, as if she was tripping over herself. Meanwhile, at a mall full of women dressed in black, head to toe, even faces covered, one woman stood out. She came walking from the opposite side, slowly getting closer to us. She had her abaya unbuttoned/unzipped. She wore under it a legging that defined her legs, wore stilettos that made loud clicking sounds as she took each step, her hands nicely decorated with bracelets that created their own nice melodies. She really stood out. Not shaming anyone here, Dad suddenly started singing a song in Arabic that translates to, "She walks like a deer, the walk of a maiden," which, considering my mom's condition, was definitely not directed to my mom. Mom stopped and turned to him exclaiming, "Excuse me?" And Dad immediately got defensive. It just slipped out. "Mom, that means it was exactly what you were thinking." Dad acts like the victim and tells Mom he's never taking her to the mall again. Mom, obviously mad, tells him he sounds ridiculous because he's the one flirting with women while his kids and pregnant wife walked right beside him, and then vows to let the whole world know. A few days later, we traveled back to our home country. As I said, we come from a village and word travels fast. Mom told everyone, again I repeat, flirting is considered really rude and is heavily frowned upon in our society at that time. And for the next 2 months, whoever saw my dad would start singing, "She walks like a deer, the walk of a maiden." Dad was embarrassed and humiliated as heck. We moved back to Saudi Arabia. My dad was friends with his coworkers and their wives were friends with my mom. Mom told them 2 months ago and proceeds to narrate the story. The wives went home and told their husbands. The next day, Dad goes to work, and the moment he opens the door, his coworkers sing, "She walks like a deer, the walk of a maiden." Dad immediately calls Mom, "Please stop telling everyone." And Mom vows again she'll humiliate him over it. 17 years later, every time she meets someone new, this story is a must-say. Might not sound like much, but in our society, this is actually pretty humiliating for my dad. Very funny for us, though never get old. Edit. Dad laughs about this now. He's completely over it. He's the kind of person to wear his heart on his sleeve, so I can confidently say it doesn't affect him. Thanks, though, for everyone who's concerned and thought it's abusive or that my parents hate each other. They don't, and they have a very healthy relationship. Edit 2. Once again, I want to stress this is not something that's affecting their relationship. We live in quite a small house. When my parents argue, I can hear it even when they're whispering so no one hears them. They communicate pretty well, and Mom doesn't use this method, mentioning past mistakes, to manipulate Dad or bring him down. Nor does Dad. This is really just something we laugh about every now and then. Edit 3. Blew up for all the wrong reasons, but here's the song for those who asked. It's really old, though the quality is trash. The part my dad sang starts at 2:30. Edit 4. God. Okay, a lot see this as abusive. I see where you guys are coming from, but at the same time I don't. Maybe because I'm under the influence of this culture that I can't see what's wrong. Or maybe I didn't deliver this right with my words, so you guys are misunderstanding. Either way, I'll be putting my phone away for now, and we'll be back to read the comments with fresh mind later so I can think rationally about this. Comment, what I like about it is that she actually had the cultural tools to protect herself in a situation like this, and there were actual social consequences for the husband, your dad. She didn't just have to swallow the insult and mumble about it in a corner forever, no. She used the social group's reaction to norms being disrespected to make sure boundaries were enforced. What I obviously like a lot less is that she's still using it as a weapon against him after 17 years. That shows, agree with other poster, that they probably don't like each other very much, which is sad and depressing, actually. Comment, I've been married for 25 years. We tease the hell out of each other about silly things that don't matter. Being able to laugh at yourself and keeping a sense of humor is key to a long, happy relationship. He teases me over dumb things I did 20 years ago, and I tease him right back about something equally inconsequential. Opie reply, "Oh no, it's funny now and my dad laughs about it too, but he did feel humiliated for a while. My mom and dad have a very healthy relationship." Comment, "I get joking about it as much as possible, but using this in an introduction to anyone new seems too much for me. Could have caused more issues than just the coworkers using the song." OP reply, "I think how you guys are imagining this is far different from how it actually is." Comment, "I had an ex who was my best friend and our entire relationship was similar to this in that every time he did something wrong lol I would be mad briefly, but then it would be added to my stand-up routine about him. I'd bring things up every so often and do a play-by-play or reenactment of what happened in each time. He would be laughing so hard he had tears in his eyes. It was a healthy way to deal with issues. Good communication about serious issues, and for those little petty random things that happen every so often, being able to poke fun at each other is a sign of a healthy and fun relationship. I could only wish that the men that came after him were that way. It's great that your parents have that." Comment, info, "Did the woman at the mall hear your father? Or was it something that your father sang quietly to himself? There is a huge difference. Flirting requires there to be actual interaction between two people. If your father's singing was not heard by the woman, nor was it meant to be, it's not really flirting. It is more of a comment to himself. For your mother to be consistently bringing this up to strangers after 17 years, she must be a bitter shrew that is hard to live with." Comment, "Did the woman at the mall hear your father? It doesn't matter. His heavily pregnant wife with a tumor on her leg taking care of his kids heard and saw him ogling another woman in front of them. They live in a country where women would get arrested for raising their voice. Then they get called a bitter shrew for daring to have a tiny little bit of agency in a one-off situation." OP reply, "I honestly don't know. As I said, I was only 3, but anyway, I personally think she has the right to feel bitter. She had a tumor and was pregnant, and her husband was singing a song that complimented another woman right next to her. I'd be bitter too." Comment, "It's funny, when I was in Iraq back in 2003, we had some Iraqi civilians who worked for us. Note, we had to hire locals to help do work, basically to help with their economy and to help with relations. We had a father and son who worked with us. The father, a boss, was awesome. Didn't speak much English, but we could get things known. Plus, he looked just like Ron Jeremy. This story is not about him, but his son Attila. Attila was in his late teens, early 20s. He was pretty much worthless at everything and claimed he was an artist, not a labor person. He would flirt with all the female soldiers who found it cute if it was a bit creepy. We males found it funny. The funny part came when one of the females asked about Iraqi women, and he said no, they are always angry and mean. She then replied, well, if you treated your women with respect and love, then they probably wouldn't be mean and angry all the time. His mind was fucking blown. He didn't show up much after that lol. Comment, as a mom/woman who loves a good, petty inside joke, this is funny. Dad got caught looking at a pretty little thing, all while heavily pregnant mom was right there feeling probably very low indeed at that point. She could have gotten mad and made a scene. She could have made life truly miserable for the whole family. But instead, she chose family legend level consequence with just a hint of social ribbing. For years. Well done, mama. I tip my hat to you with a smile. Comment, maybe you need to change your wording from humiliation to quite embarrassing. Humiliation is more similar to being insulted in public, being stripped naked where everyone feels utter contempt for that person and losing any type of respect at all, being judged and treated like a murderer or worse, like someone who swam on a river of feces and liked it type of thing, probably citing really extreme samples. What you describe is more along the lines of your mom embarrassing your dad. The usual joke/teasing that couples who have been together for so long play on each other. The acquaintances who was told about the story were only teasing him, so that also shows it is embarrassment. In the Western world, for me, it will be similar to walking with wife/GF and not paying attention that you have either walked too slow or too fast, and took someone else's hand without looking and having friends be told about it. Please leave your story in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to get new update. Thank you.